Hey everybody, I'm Sophia Parola with Garden State Film Festival, and today I am interviewing the people behind the short film Sallo, Amor. It is premiering this year at Garden State Film Festival. I want to congratulate you both for all that hard work and dedication, making something really beautiful. I was telling Frank before we got on that I enjoyed it because the message was really beautiful and the way you guys filmed it and the characters. I was really invested in the characters especially. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about it today.
Great.
Before we get into the interview, I'd love for you both just to introduce yourselves and the title that you have in the film. Would you like to start off, Frank?
Sure. Yeah. So the title is Sallo, Amor. I'm Frank Sallo, the writer, director, producer, actor, everything above. So yeah.
Thank
and
you.
I am
You're
Kyle
welcome.
Schickner, and I'm the producer, one of the producers for Sallo, Amor. Proud to be here.
Wonderful. And Frank, as the writer, director, and many hats that you wore, can you give a little synopsis about what the short film's about?
Yeah, sure. So Sallo, Amor is about a young girl who, after the tragic death of her mother, struggles in getting in and out of psychiatric hospitals, and then she gets reintroduced into high school. She meets a Latin American boy who's being bullied. And the real question of the film is whether or not she can kind of shed her past and step in and make a difference in his life before it's too late.
Beautiful. Frank, I'd love just to ask you, as writer of this film,
Sure.
Where did this idea come from, and how did you develop these characters, such unique, interesting characters and very different in their own? Yeah, where did the ideas and inspirations come from?
So the original idea actually came from an article I read, and a woman was talking about how she didn't believe that love conquered all, and she was citing all of these atrocities, 9/11, world wars, and I was just like, wow, I said, what a terrible point of view, because a lot of times when love conquers all, nobody sees it. It doesn't make the news. So I wanted to tell a story where love interfered in a situation and made a difference, but nobody would really know about it unless, except for the people that were really involved. Because when these types of things happen, you just don't see them a lot of times. So that's ultimately where the idea came. And then as it kind of branched off, I had different variations of it. It turned a little bit more into, inclusion and equality, diversity, and then with the anti-bullying theme. So it kind of all morphed from that original idea and branched off from there.
That's beautiful. Kyle, I'd love to ask you about what production looked like for this film in particular. How hands-on were you? What was production? What was the whole process like as producer?
I was pretty hands-on. We had a very small crew, and we filmed it near like Morristown area for the most part. And I had made a bunch of films in the past, and when I used to live in LA, and then when I met Frank, we were a softball team, and he had said, "Oh, I have a script," and I sort of, Frank doesn't know this. I kind of rolled my eyes, like everybody has a script. But then, then I read and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And I was sort of semi-retired and sort of just being a stepdad. And Frank was like, well, maybe we can, what do you think? And I was like, God, and I just kept staying with me the whole, again, what sort of Frank was saying, that you don't hear about it when sort of love sort of wins. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So we really sort of figured out how to do it. I had my crew come in, very small crew. And it was very hands-on. I mean, it was running back and forth. Frank will probably, tell you how much, there's certain days especially were really sort of like crazy. But when you're doing it on a real small budget, and we really wanted to, it was important to us to get actual actors from New York. We didn't sort of want to cast friends or people who want to be actors. We really wanted to so that was the first process of, the auditions in New York were, I think the first moment I was like, oh, this is actually going to come together. We got some really great people. I think Jessica is great. So yeah, so that was, I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm still exhausted from the shoot.
Oh my, absolutely. I mean, I never know what goes into producing, because you have a lot of like creativity in the writing, and I'm always, on the set, but you really know what happens behind the scenes. And often that's what makes it float or sink, I think, is a lot of the pre-production and everything that happens. So I'd love to ask you, Frank, I mean, what was the filming process like for you, especially having wrote it and then seeing it in front of your
Yep.
eyes, and you're directing it, and then you also had a character in the film. So what was that like, wearing all those hats on set? And in the end, I mean, did you accomplish everything that you really wanted? What was the experience for you?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind for sure. It was an awesome experience, and to Kyle's point, if it wasn't for him motivating me and saying, yeah, this is a great story, we definitely wouldn't be here. So, a big thank you to him, and seeing the value of the story, and I leaned on all of his expertise, and knowing that he was a director in the past was huge for me being on set, because we were debating on whether or not he was going to direct it or I was going to direct it. And then I was like, you know what, let me get a shot at this, because I really felt like I could do it. And he was all supportive. He was, I was bouncing ideas off of him. Sometimes when I had to be in there, he jumped behind the camera and made sure, things were flowing the right way. The crazy scene was the outdoor scene. The one day we really had to shoot outside, all of a sudden the temperature dropped by like 20 degrees. So everybody's freezing. So we had people running back and forth from a location where we had them so they could stay warm. And then basically our whole crew, when I needed them most, basically couldn't be there because they had to be back, not babysitting, but, taking care, like shuttling the talent to the set. So that was the most stressful day for sure. Things just kept changing on the fly, and it was almost like guerrilla filmmaking, where you just were like, making stuff up as you go, cutting things, adding things, and but it was still fun. I mean, it was like, at the end of the day, it was awesome when I look back at it.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I love hearing about those background stories though, about what happens on set. And I remember the outside scene that I saw. It was beautiful. I'm surprised it was cold, because it looks sunny and it looks
Freezing.
warm. And
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, but the clothes too, I'm surprised. I'm so happy, Kyle, that you mentioned about the actors too, because I wanted to mention how phenomenal they were, and that the characters were so different. And I think that, especially for the main character, her having those emotions what happened with her mother, and then you have what the other character is going through with bullying. I mean, I think both actors really were great in just developing those characters, and just being so enveloped in the film. So that's cool.
Yeah.
You guys casted from New York, you said?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
cast
did.
the studio in New York, and I'm sure every other person is cast there. And that, to me, that's the most best time making a movie, because right before casting, I told Frank this, is right before casting, the movie in your head is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, once you start casting, you have to start making adjustments, compromises, and the compromises and adjustments often work for the best. But in your head, you think, okay, this is what it's going to be. You may think, okay, well, this character is in my mind blonde, and this actress comes in and she blows you away, and she's a redhead. And it's like, okay, so that moment is the moment of like, oh, this is great. But then it's a matter of just, and I kept trying to say to Frank, and he was great, like, you have to be flexible. I've produced other things with first-time filmmakers who don't understand that you don't have Spielberg money.
Yeah.
You don't have Spielberg money, and so the location you had in your head, and the actors you had in the head, and how it's going to play out with the camera movements, that's going to all have to change. And like Frank was saying about the cold day on the outside on the bridge, we also, because it's outside cold, we didn't have a monitor, so we're really crossing our fingers and hoping that our DP is getting exactly what we want. And it's a matter of and Frank was amazing with just sort of like being able to roll with it, like, okay, we can't do this, and then quickly fix it. And that's what I really like about sort of low budget filmmaking. It's sort of this really cool collaborative kind of way that you're all sort of in doing it together, like, let's put on a show.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Kyle, I mean, what wonderful advice too, especially for first-time filmmakers or filmmakers in general, producers, anyone watching, that you need to stay open-minded. And half the time we have this movie in our head, and it's not going to be like that when you're actually looking at it. So that's some wonderful advice as well. I would love, just our last question for you guys is, why did you want to submit to Garden State Film Festival? And what does it mean having this film, which, I mean, I think is so important to watch. You have a lot of relatable, heavy scenarios, grief, and then you have bullying and important messages. What does it mean having this film in particular premiere at the festival? What are you hoping audiences can get out of it?
Well, the anti-bullying message is there. So, I think in today's, diversity, inclusion, equality world that we live in, I think it's, the difference that we can, what are the consequences when we don't stand up for each other? I think that's kind of what the story tells now, especially in this day and age. Like what, because if she doesn't make that first step to, toward, to him, his whole world could be different, and other people's worlds could be different. So that message, I think, is important. In terms of the Garden State Film Festival, I mean, I've known it just about my whole life. I mean, I was making movies when I was in grade school. We had, with VHS cameras for fun, and we've always heard of it. And I'm a native of New Jersey, so it was really, really important to me to submit it, and I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of it. So,
And
Awesome.
the gardens for me, the Garden State
yeah.
Film, I had a film in 2003 that was at the Garden State Film Festival, and we had done like 40 festivals, and the Garden State Film Festival, and I told Frank this when we were making it, was so great, and they really were, they supported the artists, they supported New Jersey-based production, which was really cool. I've made 8 features, none of them I made in Los Angeles. I like going outside of it, and many of them made in New Jersey, and New Jersey is a really sort of a hidden gem for people to come and produce stuff. You've got the access to New York for production and equipment and actors, but you also don't have to pay, $10,000 a day for a location. You can go down into, Summit and say, I want to shoot something, and they think De Niro's going to be there. And so the Garden State Film Festival really sort of like encompasses all that supportive, like, let's do this, and sort of Jersey pride, and I'm from Jersey. So yeah, I'm really excited that Soul Amor is here. I'm so disappointed about the pandemic, and you guys are also doing amazing ways to work around and figure all that out, which I don't envy any of you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I know it is so hard, as you said, Kyle. I mean, Garden State was the first festival to go virtual last year. We have a hybrid this year, so it's awesome that you can take a point of how hard the people who run it are working, and especially the filmmakers who, no matter what climate we're in, are still making films like you guys and still submitting their films and giving people who need a little escape of what's happening or reality check a chance to escape and watch these beautiful film and some beautiful artwork. So thank you to you guys. Congratulations on your success. I mean, 8 feature films, Kyle, that's amazing. And you've been making films since grade school. It really is inspiring. I'm so happy I got to talk to you guys today about a little bit about the process of making Soul Amor. And to everyone who's watching, I'll tell you how we can see this short film. It will be premiering virtually at the venue of the St. James, Saturday, the 27th, 10:30 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. So very cool. If you get a multi-pass, you can see all these great films, including this one, safely at home or with some friends, and people can just make an evening of it, and or a morning, I should say. So I hope you guys can enjoy it and keep submitting to Garden State, keep making amazing artwork, and your success is our success. So we want to thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, and good luck next month. In a few weeks, it'll be great.